Welcome to Book Bites with Maggie. My name is Maggie Carr. I'm the Youth Services Assistant here at Napanee Public Library. Joining me on today's episode is Miss Joni, one of two people who precedes me. You've been here how many years?
33 this year.
33 this year, so she's read the entire library at this point. No?
No, because the library, the books are always changing.
There you go. Okay, so what we're going to be doing on today's episode of Book Bites is we are going to duke it out. We've asked a whole bunch of different staff members to find somebody else on staff who has a book that they have differing opinions on. Okay? Now, this was your idea.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so what did you want to see happen in today's segment?
Well, I think that just because somebody likes a book doesn't mean that you have to like it. So Maggie, for instance, on the Book Bite, and she goes, oh, this was such a great book, and you read it and go, nah, not so much. Could be what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
It could be that's just not your kind of book.
Yes?
You don't have to like every book.
Absolutely not.
And you don't have to finish reading everything you started. Hello.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. So we're not going to have a difference in opinion on that. But let's see what some of our other staff have to say about books that they disagreed on. I'm Maggie, this is Pat, and we are duking it out with The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. This is a teen book. We read this one because it was a RosieCon author, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Mindy McGinnis would have ties to Indiana, and that's why she would be on this list. Okay, so what did we think?
I like the book. I like the way it started out. Here, I'll read what it says. The first line is, "This is how I kill someone." What? I mean, it's intriguing.
It's a gripping story.
It is.
Okay, so it is a story that features around rape culture and vigilanteism.
Yes.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
So I think my disconnect from the story was it felt too violent.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Couldn't you see that?
Yeah.
And it was very realistic and that violence could actually happen.
Yes.
So for me, there wasn't a disconnect. But you really liked it?
I liked. I mean, to me, so to me, it did seem real life, but
Yeah.
I think that's why I liked it. And I liked the ending because it wasn't a sweet, happy ending.
Yes. And a lot of books are like that.
Yes, I don't like sappy, sweet, happy endings, but something did become good from the bad that happened.
I like it. Very good. Okay, this is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. We have it as a book and an e-audiobook in our collection.
Hi, I'm Michaela.
I'm Maggie. Okay, so this was one of our shared reads. Christina Lauren writes, well, it's two people. It's two best friends. They write a lot of romantic comedies, and this was a very different one. So tell me, did you like it? Did you not like it?
I did not like the book.
Okay, so Something Wilder, it is very different. It's different, I think, than some of their other books. I enjoyed this one because it was different. If you are a fan of like the Venn treasure map thing, you could really get into this. But if you're not a treasure seeker,
I mean, I like treasure hunting. I just didn't like
didn't
the
like the
book.
book. That's okay.
It was predictable, but some parts of it were like, this would never really happen, or like, why would people make these choices?
so was it a little too
true?
tropey for you?
A little. It was, yeah.
Okay,
just
so
wasn't
we
my
didn't
favorite.
hate it, we didn't love it, but we found different perspectives on Something Wilder. Maybe you'll like it. Welcome back to Book Bites. On today's debate, we've got Garrett and myself. We are talking about a sci-fi trilogy. This is Binti. It is the first book in a trilogy by Nnedi Okorafor.
I think that's how you say it.
There we go. We're not quite sure. Okay, so this is a sci-fi book. I abandoned it. Did
I
you
really
like
liked
it?
it.
You
Yeah,
really liked it.
I
Okay,
really
so what did you like?
It's an African sci-fi, which I think that was the first I'd ever read.
It makes it very
from
different.
an African author, and seeing what African people see of sci-fi
Yeah.
is very different.
No, it's real short. This is like less than 100 pages.
Yeah, it's a novella for sure.
Okay, so I didn't even finish, or I didn't love it, so I didn't read the second or the third one. Are they short too?
Yeah,
They're all novellas or
they're all
shorter
novellas.
books?
They're all
Okay, so I did think it was kind of interesting. So I had read other books that had the cultural of like an African American and the covering themselves in mud. And there was kind of like that theme in this book. And so when I saw the cover, because we listened to this, I used it as an audio. Did you read it or listen
I listened to it too.
You listened to it too. So in our NPL collection, this is an audio book. So when I saw the cover, I was like, oh, that makes sense because they're covering themselves in this mud to protect their skin in outer space. So it was on the cover. So that was interesting to me. Okay, so you really liked it. I
really
didn't.
liked it.
We have it as an audiobook here at the collection. If it's something you want to read and we don't have it on the shelf, we do offer interlibrary loan. We can borrow it from another library for you. You can see what you think of Binti. We're back again. This is Joni and I'm Maggie. This is The Sentence is Death. It's the second book in a series. Anthony Horowitz is one of your favorite authors.
Yes, he is.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it too. We didn't quite agree.
No.
Okay, so what did you like about The Sentence is Death?
The whole series. What I like is, and I don't want to give it away, so I'm just going to say his sidekick is awesome. And
What genre is this?
mystery.
Mystery.
Throws people off, I think, a little bit. It threw me off at first because it's like, wait.
It's not traditional at all.
No, it's not.
It is not
That's
a
what I like
traditional
about
mystery.
it.
Okay.
That's what I like. I like somebody who takes a traditional genre and puts a spin on it.
There you go. I think the spin is what threw me. So I'm not a big mystery reader. I'll read them, but I'm not a big mystery reader. And this one, it was so different that it made me pause while I was reading it. So the author actually writes himself into the story as one of the characters. So that was very bizarre. But then the first book...
But they don't explain it.
No, they don't explain it. So you're just like reading along, and then all of a sudden you're like, what is happening here? So that was different. Now, the first book to this book, I thought I was going to gain more exposure to the characters. I thought that their development would be a little bit more. I quit reading after the second book in the series because I didn't get that fulfillment.
No, you
But
don't.
Joni said I should have kept going.
It is a part of the whole series.
So it builds and builds.
He's supposed to be the ghostwriter for the detective and trying to do his biography. And so he's trying to figure him out. But the guy wants him to just focus on his work, doesn't want him to focus on him as a character. This isn't how he works. So that's what the whole premise of the thing is. You want them to go right in straight to the character.
do.
But if you like character driven, it will depend. If you like a mystery and a character driven, you will love it. If you just like characters and you want to figure them out right away, series probably
How many
isn't
is
the way
in
to
this
go.
one? There's at least 3 now.
Well, I think I think he's on the 4th one is coming out. Mhm.
Okay. So the first one is the word is murder, the sentence is death, I don't remember what the
I
third
don't
one
remember
is.
the 3rd or 4th.
But the characters trickle through,
They
the
do.
mysteries are a little bit different. So we'll see if you like The Sentence is Death or the rest of the series by Anthony Horowitz. We have this as a book on CD, an ebook, and an e-audiobook.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hello, this is Brittany and Maggie. We're coming to you from the kitchen. This is where we eat our staff lunches, but we've got a next book for you. This is From Scratch by Tembi Locke. It is a memoir on love, Sicily, and finding home. So we had difference in opinion. Did you like it?
No.
You did not like it. Did you
No.
finish it?
No.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay, what didn't you like?
So probably the first thing that was very off-putting to me was there are some, there's a different language throughout the book. And I don't like books that
It slows
have
you
that.
down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I struggle, inspirational fiction has a lot of, the German, the Dutch words in there. And so I don't read that because it slows me down. Same with this. I think it was Sicilian that was in there. Slowed me down. Second thing I didn't like was... I thought it was more going to be like a culinary type memoir. And it was definitely not. It was more like she was focusing on loss. And I was expecting more upbeat. And so
The food does come in more towards the second half, but that's okay.
you know,
I enjoyed it because I listened to it, so that could have helped me with the language barrier. And letting somebody else pronounce the words didn't get me hung up. In this story, it goes back and forth between the different cultures. So probably most of what you read was in New York City.
Yes.
And here in America. And then towards the second half of the book, after she loses her husband, she's going through those stages of grief. And then the food healing part of it is in there. And then at the very back of the book, there's recipes. So I thought that was kind of cool. That's okay.
So
To
maybe
each
I'll
their
have to
own.
finish it someday.
There you go. You
but-
could. Everybody has a difference in opinion. We'll see what you think about From Scratch, a memoir of love, Sicily, and finding home by Tembi Locke. We have this as a book, an ebook, and an e-audio. Joining me now is Nikki. She works in the basement with us. We're getting books ready for the collection. We are going to debate Margaret Atwood's A Handmaid's Tale. This is the first book in a trilogy, or in a duology, but there's several years between the two. So if you really like this book, Did you really like this
I
book?
did really enjoy it, yeah.
Did you read the second one that came out like a couple years ago?
I have not read that one yet.
So you're gonna have it on your radar?
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm definitely not. Okay, so A Handmaid's Tale is going to be a book that's supposed to be futuristic society, and I think that was the turnoff for me. I felt like when I'm reading, I want a disconnect. I want to think about something completely different. And in that point in my life, it was too realistic. And that wasn't the goal. What did you think?
Yeah, so I also read this book kind of in the midst of the Trump administration. And I also was like, wow, this is very realistic. It didn't feel too far from what could possibly happen in the future. You know, we have like an environmental catastrophe that makes part of the US unlivable. We have, you know, kind of a dictatorship, lots of misogyny, a very patriarchal society. And for me, it was really interesting because it kind of like was a way for me to cope with what was really happening, right? And it was a scary thing, but I was able to look at it like, this is fiction and this is reality, and this might be like an exaggerated future, but it also was kind of affirming because I was like, my fears brought to their worst extent are somebody else's fears too.
Yeah.
I wasn't like alone in thinking like our future could look this way. But it was
Now, this was
definitely-
written in 1985.
Right, yes.
And when were you born?
95. So yeah, so that was another thing that was super interesting to me because, you know, as I'm reading it, I kept like checking the date. I was like, wait a minute, you know, but yeah.
At that point, it was like a future thought,
Yeah.
and to think that we're that close
Yeah,
to reality.
and as we're like, creeping closer. And then of course, you know, we have the TV series, which I feel the way about the TV series, probably how you felt about the books.
I watched only the first, the pilot episode,
Yeah.
just so I could get my head around the disconnect in the time,
Yeah.
jumping back and forth.
Yeah, I did not enjoy the TV series. I didn't finish it. I'm not currently watching it. I think I watched the first season, and the first season is the one that kind of follows the book, and then it kind of
Branches
goes,
off.
yeah, it kind of branches off. And at that point, I was like, they're intentionally making this very realistic to contemporary events, and that was too much for me. That was too stressful for me. But yeah, I did enjoy the book. It felt good to read something that kind of reflected my inner thoughts.
I like that. Well, this is The Handmaid's Tale. I bet you have a difference in opinion too. We have it as a book, an ebook, an e-audio book. Nikki mentioned it is also a TV series, and it is a graphic novel. So if you would like to read it in a different type of format, the panels and speech bubbles might be what you're looking for. Tell us what you think.